by the manager that an individual came forward with a concept to redesign the fountain area to a similar one in Venice, Florida. To date, the select board has not been presented plans or estimates. Before any discussion or consideration of any work to be done on the fountain or the common, the select board will seek public input. John?
Okay. I'd like to introduce the team. There's Ryan McKee, Nick Cantillo, and James Dixon. They're senior engineering students at Norwich. Back about a year and a half ago, Julie Goodrich asked if, after looking at the water bill for the fountain, asked if it could be recirculated. And I thought, yeah, it could be recirculated. So then I went to Norwich and got a hold of Adam Sevi and see if this could be a good senior project. And they thought it would. He thought it would. And so his team was designated to see if we could recirculate the system. In addition, there was a splash pad that was proposed by someone, and the students then took their options and decided whether to do just the splash pad or do the splash pad and a fountain. The students are going to graduate in about 4 days. They have no skin in the game. They have no preconceived notions about what should be done or what shouldn't be done. They are going to graduate, and maybe they'll come back at homecoming in 5, 10, 15 years, and they'll want to see what happened. But other than that, we haven't got any particular thoughts in mind. We're just asking for public input. If you have some problems, if you have some questions about the presentation, that's fine. If you have some opinions, we will save that till after they're done. And now, Ryan, Nick, see if we can get it going here.
Yeah, it's probably best.
So starting off, I'd like to thank everybody for being here and just listening to us. We spent all semester on this, so it's kind of nice to kind of put a pin in it at the end and wrap it up. My name's Nick Tintillo.
What's your name?
Nick Tintillo.
Okay.
James Dixon.
And I'm Ryan McKee.
And here are our design concepts for the Northfield fountain. So the current condition of the fountain, it's believed that there's water running in underneath, so that's kind of why it's eroding out at the bottom and kind of at a tilt at the moment. We took a walk down there a couple times throughout the semester. The snow finally cleared up, and didn't go into too much detail, just kind of poked and prodded around. And we noticed that the fountain is actually becoming detached at 3 points, here, here, and here, and it's the only thing securing it is the current water line going into it. So that's one concern, and next slide.
Use your mouse.
If you do a forward arrow, so this is our problem statement. The fountain's in need of renovation, and splash pad was considered to replace the circular fountain. So the kind of hopes behind it was it would kind of bring more foot traffic, and not necessarily. It can kind of be purposed for different reasons, not necessarily to just be a play area for kids, but kind of somewhere to go sit and kind of bring more traffic through local businesses, like Depot Square and Legion and whatnot. Yeah, this postcard.
Alright, so this is our first option. We came up with 3 different ones. The first one is a splash pad with a center drain. So this is that entire area. It's 27 feet in diameter, and that's what the current fountain area is right now. So with this option, we would have we'd go through, replace everything, and then bring it up to surface, and it'd be a flat surface sloping towards the drain, and then there'd be ground nozzles in the ground that would be able to squirt water up. So this option 1 is having it drain towards the center. Next slide, please. Option 2 would be having a curtain drain, very similar to option 1, and it's more. Oh, that's 3. Oh, there we go. So option 2 is very similar to option 1, just a curtain drain, so everything would go out to the side. The difference in this one is you could throw another type of nozzle, or a bigger one in the center. It'd also require a little bit less piping that I will talk about in just a second. And then, next slide please. And then the third option is with a fountain in the middle. Either a new one, existing one, it'd be all up to the town. And then you could either put a splash pad around it, you could level off the surface, do just a fountain. And this one would have a curtain drain on it if you did decide to go with the splash pad around the fountain. And it would still be brought up to grade, the fountain would be renovated and tidied up a little bit just to make it look nicer and make it look a little bit more newer. And then next slide please. So this is our piping layout. This is with the recirculation system. So either way, if you just go with the splash pad, if you go with the fountain, there'd be a recirculation system put in, because currently the water's flowing, there's a water line that flows right to the center of the fountain, and then it drains immediately into the sewer and leaves. So our plan is to have the water flow into, there's the top right, there's a water line that we'd connect, that'd be a new water line that we'd install. Connect that to our holding tank, which is the square on the right, and that would be how we flow it into and fill the system at the beginning of the year. And then water would go through the system throughout the entire year. If you needed more water, there'd be a valve that you could open up to let more water in. And then at the end of the year, we'd still have the sewer hookup, and there'd be a valve to let the water go into the sewer and flush out the system at the end of the year, so there's no problems with like freezing and cracking during this. And this would work for any option that you guys decided would be one, like this is the filtration system and about approximate location to it. Next slide, please.
So some of our key components that we have are ground nozzles, the storage tank, the activation switches, possibility of LED lights, and the ground surfaces. Next slide, please. So for our nozzles, we have 3 different options. One of them is a jet stream, and it would shoot a single stream out from our surface. Then our next option is a shower head type jet, where it would shoot multiple streams out from the surface. And then the other option is to have LED lights actually in the nozzles themselves, and it would light up and look good. Next slide, please. Our storage tank is 325 gallons, and this will be buried underneath the ground at the site, and it'll only be accessible by a manhole cover. Next slide, please. There's 2 different options for some activation switches. We have one that's a soft touch activation that you would press with your hand. And then one of them is a foot activation where you would just press it, and both of these would be on for, you could have it run for 30 seconds to a minute, however long you'd like, so the splash pad wouldn't be running all the time. Next slide, please. There's some options for LED lights if you decide to go that direction. The picture on the right is just a demonstration of what it could look like with having LED lights in the ground nozzles themselves. Next slide, please. So our ground surfaces. This is a rubber surface that is much like a track surface, where there's not granulated pebbles. They're actually all stuck together. There's multiple different colors, and it's more of a safety factor than anything. If it was to be used as a playground type of atmosphere, then this would be a good option, because if somebody fell down or something and bounced their head off the ground, they wouldn't be severely hurt. There is an option to go with a concrete surface as well. If that's the way you'd like to go, you can make it so it's smooth, water still runs off it, and it may look more appealing to the eye than the rubber surface. Next slide.
So this is kind of the cost estimate that we ran through. It's pretty similar with the amount of piping in it, so there wasn't too much of a difference. It was kind of estimated to be around $23,000. The funding, I believe, was secured for it, but I mean that's still up to debate if you guys decide to go through it. Option 3 was $26,143, and we just kind of threw in a rough estimate because we didn't really go into too detail with picking a new fountain, and that was the option with the new fountain. So we just kind of estimated at $3,000. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Yeah, this is just, you can
skip this one.
slide. It's just a PDF.
Alright, so then, future work. So construction plans, still would need to be, if you guys do decide to go through with renovating the fountain, construction plans would have to be done. A contractor would have to end up being made. We did a lot of our research through, it's a company called Rain Deck, and they specialize in like fountains and splash pads and stuff like that. There's a bunch out there that we found. It was kind of, you pick which one you prefer. Some of them were way off in Minnesota and Texas, and then there weren't too many up here. But Rain Deck is what we base a lot of our stuff off of. And then all the options that we just presented, it's now up to you guys to, if you'd like to go through with it, you can mix and match the options. It's not like it's one set thing. You can combine whatever you want to make your desired outcome. Next slide. And then, if you guys have any questions for us, we'd be glad to answer.
Is the water getting filtrated?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, there's a filter in it, and
Can I just hold off on public participation for one moment? I'd like to open it up to the select board for questions related to the presentation. Charlie?
Thanks, Dave. The activation switch for the, I guess the temporary ones, would the fountain continue to run even if the splash things are not working?
Yeah, so there's essentially a control panel, so you can kind of play with that and set exactly like what times you want it to run. If you only want it to run from like 12 to 4 and whatnot, and you can even control like what nozzles you want to run if they kind of pipe it that way. So even if you just had the splash pad turned off but a fountain in the middle of running, it could do something like
All
that.
of the above.
yeah.
Do anything you want it to.
Yeah.
And on their reservoir for your tank, how do you drain that?
It's the same line that it's drained off of currently. So that's
Okay,
just
so
for
there
winterization.
is a way to drain the tank.
Yes.
And then to drain the piping of water so it doesn't freeze, do you have to blow it out with air, or is it just designed so the pipes drain back into the tank and then the tank empties?
So we hook up the sewer line to the drain, wherever we establish that drain to be. We'd hook up the sewer line, and then we'd have the pump the water through the system, and then instead of draining back into our filtration system in the tank, it would drain straight to the sewer, and then.
How do you winterize the filtration system?
So it's underground. There isn't. It's very similar. What we were finding is a lot of this is very similar to like keeping up with a pool. Same with like the filtration, the cleaning of the water. It's kind of similar to a pool. So there isn't much winterizing you'd have to do. Yeah, it would just be getting the water out of the lines, and then routine maintenance, going down, making sure your all the water is out, your electrical's still working, your pipe, you don't have any cracks or anything in your
The
pipe.
pump is self-draining, so that doesn't have to filled with RV fluid or anything.
And then in our final report, we have the specs for all the components that we kind of did research on, and then there's a full winterization guide in the final report as well.
Well, well done, you guys. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
Lydia?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you all for your work on this. And I think that we're very lucky as a community to have Norwich University and students who are doing projects that could have some value to the community. And hopefully it's good for you all to get the more like real life experience of presenting in front of a board and the public. And really appreciate you all being here.
John?
Well, thank you again for doing this, and spending about 6 months, 5 months doing it. You did mention the chlorination system.
Alright, that's in there too.
Yeah. So the water would be
Chlorinated.
chlorinated to kill bacteria and germs and whatever is in it. And it would be a tablet type chlorination system. In other words, you would put in these big tablets and the water would run through them and get chlorinated rather than having a liquid chlorine like they use for the water. And it's been great. And thank you a lot.
Thank you for all your help throughout the year too.
Yes, thank you very much for all your efforts, and congratulations on the graduation. That's awesome. I don't have any questions.
I have no questions at this point. Thank you guys for doing a really good presentation. You may want to stick around for a little bit. I think the public, both online and in our audience, may have some questions technical that you can stick around for. So we had a question from the audience that we hope we've answered now as far as chlorination. Is there anyone online, Jeff, that has posed? I've heard a lot of chat.
Yep. You have a chat for very difficult to understand student speakers is one. And an ask to please everyone mute themselves unless speaking. There's a dog barking now and then. One person said they can't hear. And can the questions be repeated? It's difficult to hear speakers when someone's breathing is amplified. Those are the chats so far.
So I will ask the audience, if you have a question, please come up, ask the question, and then hopefully the students will have an answer for it.
Do you know how to unshare it? I just don't have energy. Or launch missiles, anything else.
Hello, hello, hello,
Go ahead.
hello, this is Bonnie Chenard,
Bonnie, how are you?
calling from Florida.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Mother.
I'm wondering how the meeting's going on the fountain system I want to put in to the town common. I think it'd be a beautiful improvement and fun for the kids.
So Bonnie, this is Dave Maxwell. Hello. I envy you down in Florida, but we're doing business here tonight. So the students just made a presentation about recirculation of the existing fountain and gave us 2 other options of recirculation using different designs in the existing fountain. And we've opened the meeting up to questions for the audience, both online and for the audience that's in the room.
Well, wonderful. I'm wondering if I could get a report, emailed or mailed to me on the meeting
Absolutely,
when it's over.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it goes through. I think it'd be a beautiful improvement. And I'm understanding that there's some question about nobody wants to get rid of the fountain, but we could always put flowers in it.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, for those comments. And obviously, this is a public asset for our town. And, we're gonna have to seek, public input before any decision is made. But I wanna tell you personally, I appreciate the offer that you made to the town in the fall. And we haven't had it on for consideration at all yet. And this is just the beginning of a process that, starts tonight.
Well, I know it's the beginning. I thought maybe there might have been some meetings this winter, but apparently there wasn't. So I did try to get on Zoom, but I couldn't do it. But I am trying to listen to the meeting, so I'll let you go so other people can talk, and I would love a copy of it.
We'll do our best to do that, Bonnie. Thank you. Anyone in the audience would like to?
And I hope it goes well. I think it'll be a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Bonnie.
And I'm gonna continue to listen. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Evening, Steve
Thanks.
Davis. I came here tonight expecting, from what I've been reading online, to hear 3 separate proposals on what to do with our fountain. What I understood was going to have one option, rehabilitating the existing fountain, or number 2, a new fountain, which would incorporate all the excellent measures that you guys had in your splash pad fountain. Recirculating water, energy saving, so on and so forth, all of which is a good thing, or a splash pad. What I heard was 3 different splash pad options. I didn't hear anything about rehabilitating the old fountain or installing a new fountain. All I heard was splash pad. I'm quite involved with social media here in town, and what I've been hearing is 80% of the people that I've been reading, their comments online, don't want a splash pad for various reasons. One is it's a splash pad, it's a kid thing that belongs up in Memorial Park. It doesn't belong down here in the center of town on the common. Another concern is kids running back and forth there through there. Kids all over that common with all the traffic around the common. If you're going to have a splash pad down there on that common, you should include a 4-foot fence around the entire thing to keep these little critters contained, because you know how they disappear quickly. And it's a safety issue there, but I, for one, am not in favor of a splash pad. I'm in favor of a new fountain and incorporating all the excellent measures that you guys outlined in your engineering study, and thank you for doing that. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Dave, if I could, did you guys, when you looked at rebuilding the existing fountain, are those budget numbers in, were those created as a budget item, or did we just go to splash pad?
They incorporated the splash pad for the cost analysis, but if you're just taking the rehabilitating the fountain, it'd definitely be significantly less than that, just because you would have to go through the treatment measures. They just kind of be only recirculation.
Is that in the, it's not in here. Is there somewhere in the budget on how much that might cost?
We didn't really look too far into how, like, we didn't want to poke and prod around the fountain too much. And then also, depending on a new fountain, they come in all different shapes and sizes, so it's very hard to kind of assume which one you guys are going to go with, and so we kind of left that out.
Okay.
Just because it is a very more opinion of what you guys want to do.
Gotcha.
But for the cost, like the recirculation system is in the cost, and that would, like you guys said, would work for all, like a fountain too.
And we've got that.
Yep.
Nice, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Online, can you monitor that, Jeff? Is there anyone online that would like to be recognized or have in the chat? Maybe Charlie can do that, thanks.
Other than just comments, there's nobody asking any questions.
Is there anybody online that would like to make a comment? I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Accident waiting to happen. Hi Dave, this is Kelly.
Hello, this is Bonnie. This is Bonnie Chenard again.
Yes, Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, I am, willing to pay for the fence also, if the little fountain thing gets okay, where the kids can play in the fountain coming out of the ground. I'm willing to pay the fence to make it safe. So, and also, I'm going to be paying for the thing that Norwich, I don't know what you're calling it, splash thing, that Norwich, did a study on. So there doesn't need to be a budget concern to the town, because I'm gonna pay for everything.
Thank you for that. Anyone in the room would like to make a comment? Yes, sir?
Do I have to go get up there?
You do, please, because you're on camera.
My name is Dave Black, I'm a Northfield resident. I've been following this project since the fall of 2021, and I want to thank first of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight, and I'll try to be as brief as possible within 5 minutes. I want to thank the town manager. I believe you met with Bonnie Chenard to pursue what Julie Goodrich said she'd like to see the fountain to recycle the water in the original fountain. And there was two options on that agenda that you spoke with Mrs. Chenard. One was to replace the fountain. No, excuse me. Two options. One was to refurbish the fountain or replace it with a recycling system. And it's progressed. And those months, probably what is it, six or 7 months now, we're looking at a splash pad. And I got to thank the engineering section for this, because I have been involved with engineering surveys for several companies, and I know what it's like to pursue an object. But tonight I had poor vision where I was sitting, and I apologize. But tonight I saw a presentation of only a splash pad. I'm in favor of restoring the fountain originally with the recycling system. But before I can really make a thorough comment on this, I thought the other two options were on the table, but tonight was only a splash pad. And I'm curious about how is that going to affect the pavers on the common?
Yeah, so we kind of came to Bonnie, and when we got this project brought up to us, and we were kind of going through options, and she was very much gearing towards the splash pad. So that's kind of what we took off with, but every sort of aspect of our project, depending on how you guys want to go with it, it can be incorporated if you just want to keep the fountain as it is and have our system kind of going through it. You won't have to go through as much treatment. That would have to be, that kind of brick patio, we understood that that was kind of a necessary keep in a sense. So we incorporated that idea with the splash pad or the fountain if we're just doing that. Option 3 would kind of be what you're gearing towards if you just want to do the fountain, and then if you just don't want the splash pad part of it, then it's just, the components are very similar.
This is Bonnie Chenard again. Is this going to be having to go to a town meeting vote?
Probably should.
I didn't hear that.
I don't think, Bonnie, we're at that point where we can answer that tonight. It very well may.
Well, I didn't think it would be that difficult. I thought everybody would appreciate a change after 150 years. So anyway, I guess we'll just carry on and do what we can do.
Well, I have to 100% agree with Mr. Davis when he was saying that he didn't realize almost the same thing. I was a little bit shocked tonight. I was hoping to see what kind of restoration is involved with the fountain, which I have no idea, and even what other fountains are out there. But I guess this splash pad is a fountain. I'm very ignorant, not ignorant, but I'm not knowledgeable all about a fountain system. Maybe the plumbing. And one of the questions I have on the plumbing of it. Right now, the town is using the water pressure and it doesn't recycle the water. Is that potable water?
Yes. It's coming directly off our water system.
Okay, so that's being,
Well,
that's,
obviously, it's gonna need a lot more pressure, obviously, yeah.
all right, so with this,
Okay,
okay, so with this splash pad,
well, hopefully I'll be home for the next meeting.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I'm gonna wrap
Yeah, I'll be home in
this
a
up.
couple weeks.
I'm gonna wrap my end of it up.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, good luck.
thank you, Bonnie, and thank you for being very gracious in however you're gonna spend it.
I'll be in touch in, first part of May, thank you.
I've been active on a little social media, and I'm kind of a little bit of a culprit. Some people call me a troublemaker. There's a lot of other words for that. But my intention was to get people, to inform people. And if it's not through the forum, the town forum, the town site that's run by Mr. Davis, it's a very popular site, and I believe it has 2,700.
Not a town site.
Well,
Town has nothing to do with it.
it's a private group. It's a private group, but it has close to 2,700 people. So I wanted to bring this attention to a lot of people, and I didn't show too much bias. But I still like to see, hopefully down the road, what would a refurbished fountain be? Because I read all the comments that I had dealings with, and I have to agree with Mr. Davis again. I'm glad he's here. Close to 80 or maybe even more, people don't want a splash pad. I think someone called it a child's fountain. Now, if this splash pad goes in, is the name going to change to Child's Fountain, or is it going to keep the same name? Does anybody know? Because I believe it's been called Northfield Common Fountain. And now the name is kind of like, I'm somewhat resistant to the name. Children's Fountain. Whatever comes, I like to keep it Northfield's Common Fountain, because it's been that way for 150 years, correct? And it's been that name since as long as I've been here. I've been here in 45 years. So that's minor, but I still would like to see, if possible, what it would take to refurbish that fountain on paper or replace it. I don't want to give you any more work, but you don't have to do it. But that's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Mr. Chairman, Kelly Smith would like to be called upon. She's online.
Kelly, you're recognized.
Hi, Dave, thank you. Yeah, I've also been reading and responding and replying to all the social media posts that have been out there. So I do have a lot of comments in writing that I'm gonna probably forward on to you, Dave, as chair. But I just think it's an accident waiting to happen. I don't care if you have a fence or not, it's gonna be more kids on the common, and parents today don't watch their kids, and we already struggle with parking on the common when we wanna go do business at, one of the remaining businesses that are actually still on the common. And I love the idea that we're gonna recirculate the water. I believe that the fountain should be renovated, so it does look a lot nicer. But I'm not in favor of a splash pad down in the middle of town. I wouldn't be against having one at the pool area, but that's where it belongs. It doesn't belong down in the middle of the center of town. And I'll follow up with the rest of my comments in an email to you, Dave.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. Richard also had some other questions, not about this subject, so this is probably not the time for that one.
No,
Would that-
that would be under public participation unscheduled, towards the
Okay.
end of the meeting.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Got a couple opinions? All right. Carolyn Stevens writes, it's my opinion that families with children should be able to enjoy the common as much as everyone else. Displays would not need to be very high to provide a great deal of pleasure. The fact that many people express opposition does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the majority of people in town. And regarding safety, in our 42 years of living in this town, with the fountain basin being an attractive nuisance the whole time, I've never known any children dashing into the streets and being injured. And I think, Kim Caldwell writes, can the students clarify that the area of the splash pad matches the footprint of the existing basin?
Yes.
So Kim, yes, I know that the children already play in the basin when it's filled with water, and building that basin area up around to the ground surface so the water can occasionally spray out of a few nozzles does not seem like it would be inherently more dangerous. I like the idea to fill the basin up to the ground level, either with the proposed spray options or putting in plantings and seeding in place of the basin. I like the proposal to recirculate the water as well. Thanks to the Norwich University students for their work. And Kelly Smith replies, there's been at least 2 pedestrians hit there in the last 6 months. Simon Parrish, this is Rebecca, rather than Simon. Regardless of splash pad or not, the fountain itself is as it currently exists, can also be quite dangerous for young children. I have personally witnessed a toddler fall face first in the past. If the fountain is refurbished, this lack of barrier would need to be addressed. And I'm caught up.
Okay, I'd open it up to anybody who'd like to make a comment in the room. Yes, please come forward.
My name is Shauna Foreign, and my mother is Bonnie Chenard, who graciously is called in tonight and is trying to do a nice thing for the town. I do know, as far as the fountain itself, it's been in a sad state of disrepair, I feel, for many, many years. In my 52 years, I've seen it looking decent maybe 5 times in my whole entire life here in Northfield. It really is filthy dirty all the time. Either the town doesn't want to service that or maintain it. I don't know why, but it's dangerous. I personally have seen a woman in a cast standing on the fountain trying to retrieve money out of the fountain, because some people think it's a wishing well. And I begged her, I said, please get down off of there. She goes, oh no, I gotta get this money to buy cigarettes. It is a hazard, more so than this, splash pad that is not a kiddie pool. I know that's been coined on Front Porch Forum, and I'm sickened by it, because it isn't a kiddie pool. It is a sensory fountain for everybody to enjoy, people of all ages, handicapped or not, to enjoy nature, and it's a thing of beauty, it's a thing of art. And that how people in this town can't see that. Oh, we gotta save this 150, 200-year-old fountain that's falling apart, leaning. Clearly the experts here have said, it's gonna fall over. You can look at it and see it's gonna fall over. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. But I would say that to coin it a kiddie pool and, oh, that belongs up at Municipal Park, I don't believe that. I think it's something that all ages can enjoy, and that it would be an art form. And also, there's one in Burlington, on their center in town. If you get on their website, you can see it. And if they can have one in Burlington, which is the biggest city that I know of in Vermont, certainly our little town in Northfield can make do. Especially seeing how you have somebody who wants to come in and pay for it without the taxpayer money. But I can tell you 100%, if it isn't the splash pad, then the taxpayers will be the ones paying for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Fournier would like to make a comment?
Go ahead, Mark.
Evening, Mark Fournier, Union Brook Road. I'm sitting here listening to all this. I like all the work that you guys did from Norwich. I do agree with many people though that we should have either a new fountain or renovate the existing one so, it's better, a little safe and cleaner. My questions come to the fact of the cleanliness of it, you know, how's this water gonna be kept clean and sanitary? And how's the fountain itself gonna be maintained better than it has in the past? I don't think we're gonna see a major uptick in children traffic because we renovate this and put a splash pad in. I think the same people that kinda hang out on that common already are gonna do it, you know, again. And I don't think we need to see an ugly new fence put around a fountain that doesn't need it. That's just my opinion. But I definitely would vote for either a new fountain or rejuvenating that one. Thank you.
That's it, Dave.
Yes, come forward. Please.
Robin Donahue. I just want to give some history on the fountain. My dad brought that fountain out of, I think it's Elmwood Cemetery, and him and Cracker Urban set it up. And there's an article in the Crier about that he had brought that to town to make it more beautiful. And I believe that we should refurbish it because it's been there forever, and I don't know if we can put a splash pad around it, but the bricks we've all paid for and and my grandmother has a bench there with her name on it that we paid for, so I'm for keeping it. So.
Anybody online that would like to be recognized? The room. Come up front, please, Will.
I'd like to start by thanking the Norwich team.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Oh, sorry, Willa, resident. What a great presentation and so much work, and whatever happens, you're going to graduate soon, so congrats and thanks for all the good work. Friends and neighbors, thank you all for showing up tonight for something you think is important. I appreciate the opportunity to weigh in on the great fountain versus kiddie squirt controversy of 2022, and I have the following to share. First of all, I've devoted decades of my life to learning how to do things in traditional ways, and I've spent many years restoring historic buildings, doing traditional timber framing, blacksmithing, slate roofing, plasterwork, etc. I have a deep love of and respect for history and the things that people who came before us built. I'm also a huge fan of modernization and using better technology, including altering what we do and how we do it to best meet our collective needs when appropriate. I have a hand crank mortising machine. It works great, but I use my electric drill when I have a lot of mortises to do. Just saying. The pictures of the way that the common used to be with a fountain in it do not represent an unchanging environment. Some showed a fence around the common. Some showed many buildings that are not there now. Some showed the road around the common before there were motorized vehicles there. Some showed a bandstand. It was not just one way. It changed many times over the years, like all of us, and there's no reason to think that it should never change again. Many in our community have presented this as a clear-cut black and white issue that can only have one correct answer. You're with us or you're against us. You want to save what's most important, or you want to trash our history. You get it, or you don't. This has been made into a very contentious and polarizing issue with no shortage of hard feelings. I present to you that this does not have to be polarizing. We can all unite behind the idea that we all love our common. We all want it to be as beautiful and useful as it can be. And people who use it have many different equally important needs, and we should accommodate as many of those as possible. I support the idea of keeping our historic fountain in the common and adding a splash pad for young children to play in. I would also advocate for us to fence in this area to keep children playing there safe, and or to modify which portions of roads around the common allow motorized vehicles to enhance pedestrian safety around our common generally. Again, the common historically did not have motorized vehicles driving around it. All of this can easily be done in a way that preserves both the fountain and the pavers people generously donated in the past. We should take this rare opportunity to upgrade our common now, with generous donated funding while it's available, rather than rely on using scarce and precious tax dollars that might become available for upgrades at an unknown point in the future. The common isn't just for people who grew up here, or people who have moved here recently. It isn't just for older Vermonters or young children. It is for everyone. Let's all unite to make it better. Thank you.
splash pad is an awesome idea, not on the common. I know a lot of people don't think so. Memorial Park or the like, I believe, is a better place for it. There is a lot of traffic on the common. I happen to work on the common. There are days I have to find a parking spot because when I come back from lunch because there's so many cars around it. I disagree that it would not be attractive to a bunch of kids going there. I think a lot of teenagers would be going there, as well as young people. There's a lot of people that go there for their lunch, and it's a calming atmosphere. And I just think a splash pad would be inappropriate. And I don't listen to the social media. I don't do social media. It's too negative for me. I think it's a wonderful idea. If funding is not available, I bet we could probably do a fundraiser and get the money needed to put in the wonderful system that these gentlemen came up with. They did an awesome job on their presentation. I think we have to explore all avenues and not be financially blackmailed. Thank you.
I think it should be refurbished and saved. And if you want to put in a recirculating water system, fine, as long as we don't have something out there that we're going to be looking at. If it's going to be invisible, underground, whatever, fine. But as far as a sprinkler thing for the kids to run in, why don't you put it over there on Water Street where we have that nice park over there? It would be a great place for it. Less traffic for the kids to get run over. And that's just about the size of my opinion. I thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Just gonna rotate back to the, go to meeting. Anybody would like to be recognized? Okay. Anyone in the room? Okay. Thank you, Norwich University. Thank you for everyone participating. As I stated earlier in my opening comment, that when and if this goes to the next level, there will be plenty of time for discussion, vigorous debate,